All right, you guys, welcome back to the Stop Faking Fine podcast. I am your widow friend and host, Dana Lewis, and I am so excited to share my next guest with you, Dr. Sally Good. Thank you so much for being on with me today.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited about being here too. And it's a little chilly wherever we are.
Oh my gosh, yes, it's cold. You guys, Dr. Good has 20 years of experience being a scientist, a practitioner, which has led her to numerous conclusions, the most important of which is that dementia, in many cases, is a preventable illness. And Sally and I started talking the other day, and I was just over the moon with the conversation and all of the nuggets that she has to share that I wanted to bring her on the podcast and just have this conversation. So, Dr. Good, where do we start? Tell us what made you interested in really studying the science of dementia.
Well, Dana, about 20 years ago, I started working in geropsych as a residency. And that means I work in a nursing home, and that's my primary care. So I started noticing certain people did better than other people, and I started asking them about what they did when they were growing up. Did they have a vegetable garden? Did they eat organic things? What they were doing now? And it sort of started gelling in different pods in my mind, like what you ate, how much exercise you got, how did you socialize? Do you have best friends? Did you go dancing at those socials? All these things started gelling. And around about 3 or 4 years ago, I started becoming more interested in the actual research, not the anecdotal stuff, but the nitty gritty, nerdy, self-confessed nerd. I like science.
Yes, that's why you and I are such good friends, because I'm a nerd. I love all the science. Give me all the details. Tell me why.
Give it to me
why.
And I will go down the rabbit hole chasing it to bring out those little nuggets that the average person can understand. So
I love it.
I started writing down little chapters of things like, what can we do to do prevention? And of course, when we talk about dementia, we have to talk about different kinds. And the most common one, besides Alzheimer's, is vascular. And vascular is related of how we treat our cardiovascular system. So whenever you see all those public service announcements, the PSAs, they tell us how to take care of ourselves to prevent strokes. That's vascular dementia preventing. How do we take care of ourselves to prevent heart disease? Everything they say on those things also are preventing vascular dementia. But we don't have public service announcements about preventing dementia per se, unless it's some of the more up-to-date functional medicine folks who are now writing books and doing studies. I wanted to write a book that was for the average person who didn't have to wade through big words and stuff, and they could get really precise, succinct interventions they could do from the get-go. And I tell them, you have a tool in your medicine cabinet that prevents dementia. And then they go, huh? And so I say, hey, take a look at this.
This blows my mind.
Because what happens if you don't brush your teeth? You get infected gums. Bacteria from your mouth get into your gum line. They get into your bloodstream. That sets up a whole line of inflammation. The inflammation can travel to your brain. And inflammation is the number one cause of all the dementias.
I mean, inflammation. Let's pause at inflammation for a minute. Inflammation is the root of all issues. So it's really
joints,
no surprise.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's no surprise that it's at the top of the list for dementia.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So they found of a study of 1,800 people, if the ones that brush their teeth twice a day had a 69% less chance of ever getting dementia.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Like that, it just like that. I am struggling for words because my mind is blown at the simplicity of brushing your teeth twice a day and the positive reaction that happens in your body to lower inflammation and prevent dementia. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Keep going.
Because in nursing homes, if a person has dementia, they rarely ever brush their teeth because they don't remember to. And sometimes they don't get help doing it because the people helping them are too busy doing the important things, making sure that they're nice and comfortable and all their toileting, whatever. But sometimes if you look at their mouths, the bacteria have made scaffolding in there in terms of tartar. My dentist told me one important thing. He says, only brush the teeth you want to keep.
Yes. Brush the teeth that you want to keep. This is amazing.
And I tell people that all the time and they go, oh, okay.
Okay, let me just brush all of them. Let me brush all of those.
All of them. Okay.
Yes.
So that led to other things, just talking about the people that are super social, that have best friends. They have a community, whether it's church or a activity pod, whether it's quilting, crafting, going out to play 42 or other forms of dominoes. And the elders in my community are Germans, Czechs, Polish, and Hispanics. And they go to dances like crazy. And they're in their 70s and 80s and they're two-stepping out there and they're waltzing and they're doing all kind of polkas. And dancing is one of the best forms of exercise because it's start-stop. You have to, you get your heart rate up, then you stop, heart rate up, then you stop. So you're always taxing your cardiovascular system. So here we have a whole
That's amazing. I love the science. I love the science that you just attached to that. The start, stop, and the cardiovascular aspect, because usually when we think about dancing, we don't think about those elements. You just think about fun and it's mentally stimulating, and socializing is really good for your feel good neurotransmitters because you're connecting with others.
Yes. Connecting with others is one of the preventing dementia tenets, connecting with others. And when you think about someone, I tell people, pick up the phone. Don't send them an email or a text. They want to hear your voice. They want to hear that connection. Like if we were doing this on email, it would be totally different than we're doing it in person.
Right. It's missing the heartfelt connection.
Yes, exactly. And then the other, some of the other things, or learn something new every day, or do something novel. And back to teeth brushing, try to brush your teeth with the opposite hand. If you're used to doing this, try doing this. It's actually quite hard the first couple of times. It sort of makes your brain make new neurons. And because we have this thing called neuroplasticity, we can make neurons till the day we breathe our last breath.
Yeah. That's amazing. To brush your teeth with the... I don't even think that I would be that, like, that's challenging to use your left hand. I'm very right-handed, right-hand dominant.
Yes.
To use my left hand to brush I'm going to do that tonight and create some new neurons.
And anytime you learn a new instrument, a new language, people talk a lot about doing crosswords. Or those brain games. What that does is make you better at brain games. It doesn't necessarily make new neurons. So it has to be something that you've never done before.
Talk more about, let's stop there for a second, because most people that are doing Wordle or the crossword puzzles or any of those things, the perception is that we're really strengthening our brain.
Well, with like, just take during like crossword puzzles. You've got a clue, and inside your memory bank, you're trying to find what it is. The people who do a lot of crossword puzzles have amazing amount of clues in their, and they even have books where you can look them up now. And it's basically rote. They use a lot of the really tricky clues over and over in the crossword puzzles. And once you've got those, you go like, oh, that's not so bad. I know that one. But it doesn't actually make you do something different. You're accessing your memory, but you could be accessing your memory doing other things as well. What you want to do is challenge your brain to actually create some new neurons in there. And if you try to do a musical instrument you've never played before, oh my gosh, I took up classical guitar at one time. Not only does it hurt your fingers, but it really stretches you're like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to incorporate this, that, and the other.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I don't want to take up another instrument, I can brush my teeth with my opposite hand, right? My left hand.
Learn Spanish, German, Italian, French.
Learn a foreign language. Okay, that's a good one. What else can I do?
Well, you can actually, when you're dancing, if you always dance to the right, try turning your body to the left. When you put your shoes on, almost all of us put the same foot on all the time. If you've noticed.
Oh my gosh, 100% yes. 100. I would have never noticed if you didn't say that. Try
doing the other one first. Your brain will go, stop.
That is helping to build more neurons.
Yes, and it shocks your brain. The brain is loath to change because it wants status quo. It does not want us doing all this new stuff, and it tries to make us stop.
Oh my gosh.
It tries to protect us because if we do something new, heck, something bad might happen. The brain doesn't know. It wants us to stay in a status quo.
That's amazing. That's such a good information. And really, if you're listening and your mind is blown, I would love for you to share this podcast with a friend. Like, this is tactical information that I can implement this today.
Yes, exactly. And also talking about inflammation, if you're eating a lot of processed foods, particularly fried ones, in hot oil, it's the hot oil that actually changes the molecular structure of the food. It's called AGEs, and I don't want to eat anything that has ages in it, okay? And it changes the whole molecular structure, and that's why processed foods are so bad for you.
Well, processed foods raise inflammation, right? So even if they are not fried, they are more likely to raise the inflammation in your body because they are harder for your body to digest. So then your body has to work harder, and it's not doing its normal job. It's spending all of its time trying to digest this food. And so that's what raises the inflammation, which is not good for us.
Yes. And that word digest is so important because we have two different kinds of systems in our body. Have you ever played that game when you were a kid, like Who Blinks First? Where you try to keep that's your autonomic
try to keep your eyes open.
Right. Not blink. And whoever blinks first loses.
Yeah.
That's your autonomic system. Also, have you ever tried to hold your breath and not breathe?
Okay.
Can't be done.
Yes.
You can't stop your heart from beating. You can't stop your heart from beating. You cannot stop digestion. You can do things to your digestive tract that will slow it down for sure, but you can't stop it. So on one side of us, we have something to protect us called fight, flight, or freeze, which is part of the sympathetic nervous system. And then on the other side,
cortisol hormone.
Your cortisol, good to get us going.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite topic.
Yes, the dinosaurs are after us. Let's go. But
Yes.
if we keep feeling that all the time, it erodes your whole internal body system, again, cardiovascular. Then on the other side, we have rest and digest, which is a sympathetic nervous system. And so our gut has all these wonderful things it's making, neurotransmitters that make us feel better, feel good, actually give our brain a lot of information. And so the neurotransmitters travel up to our brain. The brain sends messages back down to our gut, and it's a bidirectional conversation. It just doesn't go one way. So if your
Amen.
gut,
Say that again for the people in the back. Amen.
okay, if all the neurotransmitters in your gut are going up to talk to your brain, and your brain sending information down to your gut, it's bidirectional. It's a two-way conversation. So when your gut is all confused and isn't happy, oh, here's a factoid. I have to say this. We have more alien cells in our body than we do human.
Oh, what does that mean?
That means that there are more cells within our gut, on the outside of our face, on our eyelashes, in our pores, every possible crevice that we have, than our actual human genetic cells. So we think we're running the show, but not. These bacteria down in our gut are actually determining our mood, things that we think, whether we're frightened. It's an amazing system that when it's in balance, we feel so good. We have such wonderful time. Everything's kind of like happy, joyful, easy. We can make decisions. We can be so much more productive. When it's not, this thing, the brain fog, like, and we wake up in the morning and we don't know what the heck we're going to do. It's so hard to get out of bed. We're sluggish. We don't have any energy to enjoy life.
Yeah.
So we've just started like really talking about gut brain connection since we discovered the word microbiome. That's only been in our
right. This is how you and I started. We started talking about this, and you guys, I was leading into this conversation so hard because I was like, Dr. Good, we're talking the same language, like the gut brain axis, you are a gut brain vagus nerve expert, and you share tactical tools to help people. And dementia is just one facet of that, right?
Yes, one facet of inflammation. And there are many other illnesses that are like autoimmune disease and all those kinds of things where you could really help yourself if you changed habits.
Yeah. So when we talk about habits and we talk about the gut brain axis and how we can lower the inflammation and fried foods, I love that you talked about how when frying them in the deep oil, it brings out that AGE, and nobody wants to age. Like none of us want that. We want our digestive systems to work well, but understanding how to get the digestive system to work well and what we can do to help that gut brain axis. That's like, let's talk about a couple of tools to help with that.
Yes. And in terms of being a consumer, I'm always looking for a tool that's going to help me do something in the most efficient way. And so you actually, thank you so much, turned me on to this thing called Happy Juice. And Happy Juice hits 3 different areas to help you to manage the gut-brain axis. With prebiotics, postbiotics, it's not just that. It actually helps the bacteria. It nourishes them in your gut to actually become stronger, because we have the flora, the microbiota, the flora in our gut. We have some good guys and some not so good guys. And if the good guys stay in control, everything's okay. But
Mm-hmm.
if we're not feeding the good guys with really stuff they really need, the bad guys can take over. I call them the green gremlins. I don't know if they're green or not, but that's what I call them when I try to explain this to someone who has no idea that there's things in there. If you
Yeah.
take too many antibiotics, hint the
Yeah.
word anti-bio, life, killing life, antibiotics.
Right.
It will kill off all those good gut things. So then we have to replace the gut things with either a pill of acidophilus or some other ones. But
Mm-hmm.
while that's happening, the not so good guys
Are
can
tripling.
come out and cause diarrhea. All kinds of things can start happening. And this happens to elders in the nursing home. They
Mm-hmm.
actually get infections from the really, really bad guys, and it can be life threatening. So it's very,
Yeah. So
very
let's talk about what you can do. So
okay.
if you're on the podcast, you've heard me talk about Happy Juice. Happy Juice is my
Yes,
absolute favorite, right?
yes.
And because
You
oh, there you
guys,
go with your box.
super
Yes.
happy, super happy.
Happy Juice
And
is one of my favorites. Yes. And it's one
yes,
of Dr. Good's favorites because it lowers the inflammation
yes,
and it populates the gut with the good gut bugs. And
yeah, and it,
it's like let's be honest, it's easy. It's an
yes,
easy
it's easy
solution to a problem.
and it tastes good.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
not like that
Yes.
icky, grainy kind of
No.
powder stuff that you see
No.
that's probably really good for you, but you really don't want to drink it.
No, it's easy. So we're all about tactical solutions. So we started this conversation about dementia.
Yes,
Dementia is the root cause of dementia is inflammation. So what
yes,
can we do? You can brush our teeth twice a day. We can use the opposite hand to brush our teeth. We can have Happy Juice. When we were talking the other day, you were sharing a little bit about cold showers, and I remember my mind being blown with this information.
yes,
Can
yes.
you can you
Mhm.
speak to that a little bit?
Okay. Um, it's I don't want to call it a fad because actually it's been around. We just rediscover things. You've noticed that. Things have been around a long time, and now we're rediscovering that if you get a cold shower, if you take like a cold shower, people are actually dunking themselves. There's all these social media videos where they're actually sitting in a tub of ice water. What it does, it actually stimulates the vagus nerve, which is the biggest
Mm-hmm.
nerve in our body, and it's part of that rest and digest thing.
Yeah.
So when we stimulate our vagus nerve, the nerve that manages our digestion and a whole bunch of other things, and it wanders all over our body. The root word is vagus, from wanderer, like vagabond and vagrant, those two words.
I
So it's a
I
vagabond
love
wandering
that.
all over. Yes. And so it stimulates the vagus nerve. It makes it tonal, and it also helps us to go away from fight, flight, freeze over to rest and digest. So we become more balanced. We can sleep better, and sleep is one of the pillars of health. If you're not sleeping well, which is one of the things that Happy Juice helps you with, if you're
Mm-hmm.
not sleeping well at night, there is a system called we've heard of lymphatic. There's one called the glymphatic with a G, which is the
Mm-hmm.
lining around your brain and down your spinal cord. And I have a picture of a little lady with a broom, and she comes out at night and sweeps your brain. She gets all the
I
bad
love
stuff out
that.
there.
That's such a good
Yes.
visual.
If you don't get enough rest, and if you don't sleep well, she doesn't have time to clean out your brain. She only gets to do part of the job. So the next morning
Yeah.
you wake up with maybe some tangles or amyloid plaques that she could have gotten rid of, which causes Alzheimer's.
Oh my gosh, that is such a good analogy and such a good tip. And so for a cold shower, whether you take a cold shower or there are other ways to stimulate that vagus nerve that you have shared
Yes.
before. Can you walk
Put an
into that a
ice
little
cube
bit?
in your hand. A lot of my clients who have anxiety or have panic attacks, if they put an ice cube in their hand which stimulates the vagus nerve. First of all, it lowers your blood pressure. And when your blood pressure is lowered, it decreases anxiety just as a natural sort of circumstance. A couple of my clients were in a car accident and they are really scared to drive. So we started out getting a little igloo thing with an ice pack, and they put it beside them in the car. And when they get in the car, they put their hand in the ice pack. And then they start driving. And if they start feeling any tension or that kind of tightness in your chest that you start getting with anxiety, they put their hand on the ice pack. And it's sort of like exposure therapy. Start, stop. If it gets too overwhelming, stop. Put your hand in the ice pack. And over time, with exposure therapy, they can learn that being in the car is not a dangerous place. They can tell their brain it's okay to be in there. And they can start driving again.
I think that it's so interesting that you can put the ice cube in your hand and activate that vagus nerve in the same way. Because right now it's very trendy to take a cold shower, to do a cold water plunge. I've been seeing stick your face in a bowl of cold water. And, start at 5 seconds and then make it up to 5 minutes or whatever. And I think it sounds amazing, but I don't want to do it.
Here's some really fun ways to stimulate your vagus nerve. You can sing, because the vagus nerve comes down here, goes through your throat, down this way, and then comes down here. You can sing. You can chew gum. You can hum, gargle.
That stimulates your vagus nerve?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so let's go.
Yeah. The vagus nerve is right in here.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
If you have a dog, have you ever rubbed their ears in the back and they go, oh, that's so good. Don't stop.
Because you're stimulating their vagus nerve?
Yes.
Okay, let's go back to why. Let's go back to why. So why do we want to stimulate the vagus nerve? Like what? Let's recap. What are the benefits?
It calms us down. It actually encourages the production of serotonin, which is that real relaxed, feel-good neurotransmitter. Because it goes all the way down into our digestive system, it helps our digestive system work properly. So the gut-brain axis is more productive, is more functional. So when our vagus nerve is happy, we're happy.
100%. When the vagus nerve is happy, we're happy. You guys, I am obsessed with the supplement hacks, like the happy juice, the kids mood, all of the things that are supporting the gut-brain axis, lowering the inflammation and helping you step in not only to prevent dementia, but just to be a better version of yourself today. And these tactical tips that you have shared are amazing, absolutely amazing. So tell us about the Healthy Habit Tracker. How can we track ourselves? You have this amazing freebie that you can share with our audience.
Yes. Towards the end of the podcast, there'll be a slide put on the screen, and it has a code that you can point your phone towards, and it will come up to a little survey, like, what did you like? What would you like to hear more about? Give us some more information. And when you do the survey, it automatically gives you the Healthy Habit Tracker. And basically, the Healthy Habit Tracker is the distillation of the book, Preventing Dementia Using Gentle Lifestyle Changes. And
we'll drop the link for that book also. Like, let's pause there for a second, because Dr. Good wrote this amazing, easy to read book on how to prevent. How to prevent dementia. What's the name of the book?
Preventing Dementia Using Gentle Lifestyle Changes.
Yes, with Dr. Good, Dr. Sally Good. I will put the link to that will definitely be in the show notes. And this the Healthy Habit Tracker is
we can put
a
that
compilation.
In there too.
Yeah, but it's a compilation. It started with the book, and then you've boiled it down to a few key points that you give away in a free Healthy Habit Tracker.
Yeah, and it's basically just like brush your teeth twice a day, do something novel, simple, and it's got a whole week of check marks So if you didn't do
Yeah.
something yesterday, you can try something different today.
I love it. So while we have focused a lot on preventing dementia and things that you can do today, if you are listening and you have a loved one that has dementia, what are some things that you can do to help them today?
You need to keep them active. Don't let them sit in front of the TV. The TV does nothing to stimulate your brain. It's basically just a babysitter. So anything you can do to stimulate their brain, and never ever say, "Do you remember?" Because if they don't,
Oh,
they can get embarrassed, or they realize they don't remember and it makes them feel bad. So whenever I go into a patient's room, I tell them who I am. If I've seen them for 10 times, I tell them who I am and why I'm there. And they say, "Oh, okay. You're that lady that's got the goats." Right. Yeah, that's me.
oh my gosh, that is such a great takeaway to introduce. Like, even if it's your
Even if
parent,
it's your mother.
yes, you walk into the room and you introduce yourself and
Yeah.
say why you're there.
"Hey, Mom, this is Dana. I've come to see you today." And
Oh
it
my
sort of
gosh, I love that.
it sets the tone that they don't have to remember, because lots of times they'll know that they're related to that person, but they can't put the relationship quite together or what their name is. And it's just, if you can't remember the name of your daughter, how embarrassed would you feel?
Right. And that raises your stress, raises your anxiety, raises your cortisol
Yes.
hormone, which raises your
Yes.
inflammation, which puts you in a worse state of dementia.
Which affects your memory. When you have high cortisol,
Yes.
you can't remember anything. The CRS
Tell us more.
can't remember stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. This has been absolutely amazing. If you have enjoyed this podcast, put a 5-star review, follow Dr. Good. I will put all of her credentials, all the links, all the things in the show notes. Dr. Good, I'm sure we will have you back to do more in-depth conversations, but thank you so much for being with us
It's my
today.
pleasure.
Again, you guys, yes. Again, if you found benefit in this, if this was helpful, we would be most honored if you would share this episode with a friend. Make it a great day.
Thank you.